Yo, it's Leafs Talk Live on the Sportsnet Digital Network. We're live on YouTube recording this podcast. Leafs lose. OT lost the Golden Knights. JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. Shoot us a follow at JD Bunkis, at Sam A. McKee on Twitter. My boy from Real Kipper and Born. I got to be honest. I'm a little torn about this one. This is a bit of a strange one. I felt like the Leafs got more shots, but they weren't the better shots for the most part. Some guys that needed big games had them, but turnovers killed them, and it was another sneaky bad Rielly game. You and I remember yesterday or the other night where you and I said, hey, let's save this conversation for a different night. I don't know. Tonight kind of might be the night, bud.
Yeah, maybe tonight's the night. Just way too many grade A opportunities. I don't know. I think they ended the game with 20 shots, 19 shots in total.
Dude,
I guess
every shot was home run shot.
The 20th went in the net on a just downright lovely tuck by Reilly Smith. Backhand top cheese, a man after my heart. Good Lord, that was nice. But every chance they get tonight was a absolute grade A opportunity. Yeah. Källgren's save percentage in this game is going to look terrible, and he was their best player for a lot of moments of that game with making huge saves to them, allowing them to get back into that game. It's a really weird one to analyze because, like you said, feels like the Knights were the better team, but the Leafs had way more shot share and probably had more possession. I feel like they will have a better looking, advanced stats than the Knights will, and I don't feel like that tells a story.
Bro, you wanna get some heat? You wanna start some smoke? This is why you gotta watch the games and you can't just do the analytics thing. And I'm sure there actually was heat maps, and there's some chart that's going to show that the Golden Knights had a better game. So some nerd's going to dunk on me after this, big time. I'm going to get absolutely Sean Kemp, Blake Griffin, LeBron James, whatever you want to say. But yeah, I thought the Golden Knights were for the large part the better team. And you're right, poor Källgren gets nailed with the save percentage all the time now, right? The kid is just, hey, he's a sub 900 save goalie in the NHL, and yeah, tonight he was good. Tonight he made multiple saves. He made the first one that he made where I went, okay, Källgren was that blocker save, right? Because guys are really trying to
the tip in front.
Yeah, and also guys really want to rip that blocker. The book on him is that blocker. I guess for a lot of goalies, but whatever.
Low blocker. Guys like to shoot a low blocker on goalies. They wrote that book at McGill in 1840, pal.
But either way, I thought that he had 6 or 7 saves tonight where I went, all right, Källgren, that was a good night for him, man. If I would say this, as much of a bummer as the turnovers were, as much of a bummer I think that Rielly's play was for a lot of stretches, as much as there was some lack of attention to detail, and you got to feel a little good if you're the Leafs, seeing what he did tonight. And I know that he had a bit of that last season when he first came up with Toronto. He had a little bit of the smoke and mirrors start. But this was his best game as a Leaf, right?
Sure. Absolutely. Sorry, I was just watching the video there, but I didn't mean to cut you off. But that's a great save. That's a reaction save blocker right in the slot. And I agree. This is his best game as a Leaf. No doubt. Yeah. Against a big-time team where they needed him to make a bunch of saves when they hung him out to dry. Again, man, their goals, the turnovers. It's the turnovers again. All 3 of their regulation goals, and I guess in overtime, were directly led off of turnovers. You look at that brutal one by Sandin. Liljegren who had a good night, just muffed on a pass, ends up in the back of your net. On the power play, you get a shorty. Reilly Smith goes the other way. So this is a very, very winnable game. Obviously, the Leafs had the lead going into the third, but it's the attention to detail, man. It's the turnovers, like you were talking about, that just bit them again.
Yeah, I thought that they got away with a bunch of turnovers too. If we got I know we got a highlight pack of the turnovers because these honestly, I gotta say, watching these Källgren highlights makes me feel even better. Watching these highlights, these are some damn good saves, man.
That's a great pass.
These are that was a really nice pass. But he made some really, really big saves tonight. I got to admit, I want to see Keith Pett. I want to see Petruzzelli, who looks like he's got a lot of Matt Murray to him, eh? He looks like he's Matt Murray's long lost cousin. If he showed up at the Matt Murray family reunion, no one would be like, get out of here. You're not with us. He would 100% pass.
I think he's the tallest guy on the team and the lightest guy on the team. So there you go.
He's a true blue skeleton.
Yeah, he's like a string bean.
Yeah, when guys say, "Hey, some goalies lose 5 pounds or like 5 to 10 pounds every game," it's like Keith Petruzzelli cannot lose any LVs during the game. No, he can't spare an LV. That guy's got to keep. He's got to have one of those like sweat retention bags on his body to make sure he doesn't lose anything. Every time he goes back to sip the Gatorade, it's like, buddy, keep the fluids. He's got to get IVs in between periods to make sure that he stays alive. He is a bone rack. But yeah, I'm excited to see him, but I will say that tonight was a good little push for Liljegren, for a guy that probably wants to keep his job, keep the net. But yeah, to the turnovers, let's roll that pack, because yeah, dude, there's just the two that are going to stick out. The first one by Sandin is just like grade A bad, to the point where you go, hey, maybe this guy shouldn't play the right side. Like that was my first impression of this. I think that the Liljegren one, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. He had a really good night for the most part. It was just a like bad luck play. But Morgan Rielly, dude, like I kind of want to see the box score for how many turnovers he had tonight. He just had some, I don't want to lose a puck battle in the corner, flip it out into the middle of the ice moments that were ugly. Like very, very ugly night for Morgan Rielly, who just continues to struggle, man. I would say, like, where would you power rank him in terms of the guys right now that have not had like quality performances? Because I would actually say that at this point, he's like at the tip of the top.
It's pretty concerning for me, honestly, man, because we've had these conversations in other years where there's issues with his game and we accept the flaws because of the other side of it. And I'm just seeing way more of the flaw side than the excitement side. Like when he's at his best in years past, he's flying up the rink. He's engaged in offensive chances, and he's making great passes. He made actually on the Marner setup to Liljegren today, he made a great little pass there, a little dummy where he pretended to accept it. So he's still got that offensive ability. But I just feel like we're pointing out his defensive lapses way more than his offensive, his best plays when he's on the other side of the puck, where he obviously makes his hay. He didn't get signed for his defensive numbers. So I'm pretty concerned about the way he's been playing, man. It's your top pair guy. They've tried him with a bunch of different guys now. They're put him with Liljegren, who looks better than him already through 2 games playing with him. How is Liljegren the safety blanket in that pairing? Like, he's the guy that's actually looked much better of the two. Keith was doing the blender with those pairings again tonight at the end of the game. They're searching for it with Morgan Rielly. And that, listen, we always talk about this. You talked about this last game, post game, being like, it's a post game show. You can't get bogged down in the future and the past. But the way this year started and that contract, man, it's a scary start to it. There's no doubt. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not concerned and he'll figure it out. The defensive side of the puck is much worse than it has been in years past, I feel like.
Dude, I meant more like the big picture stuff in terms of just always having a referendum on whether or not this team is good enough, or whether or not, are they Stanley Cup favorites? Are they bottom of the barrel teams? Like, I think that stuff has to go on the shelf for a little while, especially, dude, they played well again tonight. Like, Vegas is a really good hockey team, and Toronto showed up for this game. I don't think that this was like a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination.
No chance. It was bad. It was fine.
It was not.
I was completely fine with it.
There was a couple of moments that you really hate. It's just that attention to detail is something that's really going to matter. And here's the thing, man. Tonight was a reminder for me with Morgan Rielly that the Leafs were searching for a partner for him for a really long time. And before TJ Brodie was like a 40-year-old Ron Hainsey that people said, hey, this is the best guy with him. It was year over year of he's always had another whipping boy on the blue line that's taken heat off of him when it comes to the defensive side of his game, right? First it was Jake Gardner. Now it's been Justin Hall. Like, it's been Zaitsev. Like, go down the line. It's been a bunch of different guys. This year, there isn't really that. You pull Brodie off of his pairing, and you remove the guy that is like the eraser of a lot of the mistakes, the safety blanket, and you ask it to be Liljegren, and you don't feel as comfortable with the guy in his own end. Like, no. He's been a guy that's been he's done a lot of this in the past. Let's just say, like, these aren't new issues, and that's why I think that they're cropping up. But when he doesn't have the supplement of just the awesome offensive games, like, they really start to pop a little bit more. So, yeah, I don't know.
And I think that in years past, when you had I just, it's impossible
to 20 goals one year.
Well, I think it's just also impossible to overstate what a massive loss Jake Muzzin is to this hockey team. Yeah. You think of the minutes that Jake Muzzin played for this team with Hall or whoever at the end of games, and now that role is falling on Hall and Brodie, but you can't play them at all times at the end of the game. So it's going to be a lot of Morgan Rielly in those end of game moments, and he's paid the big bucks. He's supposed to be your top guy. You have to put him out there. But I just, not that he's miscast as a $7.5 million guy, he's a top pair guy, but the load defensively that's put on him without Jake Muzzin in the lineup, it's a huge hole, man. And we've talked about it. It's an incredibly hard thing to fill, which to me, listen, this has been an awesome stretch of hockey for the Leafs to get 5 points out of Boston, back-to-back Carolina, and now Vegas. It's an excellent stretch of hockey. And I'm really thrilled that they've kind of pulled out of it here. But to me, you got to start thinking about spending that Muzzin money to get some help on the back end. I know not Mete, who's the other guy? Ben, that's coming back.
Ben's back.
I
want to see that though. I want to see you and I love a butcher. You and I love a butcher, and they love a butcher. And I've said this a million times, but go through Kyle Dubas's track record. The guy has been a butcher getter. Like he likes having a guy back there with a little bit of that. I do wonder the complexion that he brings to the blue line. The only thing is like, who's coming out now? You know what I mean? Like who's? Yeah, I guess, but
it's an easy answer to me. I didn't like his game at all tonight.
No, me neither.
He feels like
he can't play the right side. That's my opinion.
Well, it just feels like he's been searching ever since he kind of had a weird start to the training camp, which in retrospect, just seems so bad. But to me, if I'm bringing in Jordy Ben, whenever he comes in, Sandin's going to take a seat for a couple games. He doesn't shoot right. He can't play the right side. You have left shot guys that would probably outplay. I don't know what Butcher is going to call. I don't know what Butcher Boy Ben's going to do when he comes into the lineup, but he's going to have a more defined role. I just don't know what Sandin's role is defensively on this team tonight. Like we talked about that turnover that he had, and listen, it's a hard play, fast game, pucks rolling, but you can't try to bobble that. You just got to hack that into the defense. Like just smack it back down. Don't try to make a play with it. He gets his pocket picked. They go down the other way. So to me, I really like this game for a lot of reasons, but the biggest red flags for me would definitely be Morgan Rielly and the play of Sandin. Like both those guys have concerned me big time to start the year, man. And tonight was a good example of it.
I actually liked that Keefe shortened the bench when they had the lead in the third. I went, that's nice, like shorten the bench, do this, like treat this game like it's an important one. And then as soon as the game was tied, he got a little too horny with the blender again.
It worked last time, baby.
He was in there. The tinkerer was tinkering. He went right to the lab.
The mad scientist. I gotta get something going here.
He went with the full license of just I'm blending, baby. I'm blending. I'm the blender. I'm not. Yeah, the Rielly thing, like I said, has always been a bit of a concern to me. I think that he's a Leaf fan favorite. He's a guy who plays with a ton of passion. He's a vocal leader in the room. He's an offensive guy that's put up great numbers. A lot of people think that in a lot of ways he is the Leaf fans love to debate who's the real captain. They go like, is it Morgan Rielly? Is it Tavares? Is it Matthews? I think in a lot of ways he is he's obviously part of the leadership structure, but in a lot of ways, like he still has felt like the captain to me at times. He's not a guy that's afraid of it. It's just like he's been a guy that's struggled with gap control throughout his career. He's been a guy that struggles with turnovers, and he's a guy who struggles with winning puck battles in the corner. And if they're going to rely on him more, he's going to struggle to do those things. And so, you're not going to give him a partner like the eraser. Those problems are going to show up a little bit more, even with Liljegren, which I kind of like that pairing, though, by the way, like just the all offense group. But just you're going to have to take the goods with the bad when it comes to those two guys together.
You just mentioned eraser, and my mind immediately went to the human eraser, Luke Shen, who beat the brakes off Austin Watson this tonight in Ottawa.
I think you tweeted, "Bring him home." I'm down.
I said, "Bring Luke home." Bring him back. And then somebody tweeted me. I don't know who it was. I want to give him credit. But he said, maybe this isn't the Austin Matthews era. It's just the Luke Shen climax. So we've just been waiting for him to come back.
Dude, I'm so down.
That's a great take by you, buddy.
Man, some people forget. Some people are too young to even remember the time where Leafs got Luke Shen, and he had that rookie year where they just decided to play him into the ground. And he was coming off that World Juniors where he jumped on that Russian kid and beat the wheels off.
He was fighting in his rookie year, and he was so tough.
Luke Shen rookie year is genuinely one of the most happy post salary cap experiences that I had as a Leaf fan.
I hate to admit how much I agree.
No, it's just facts. Rookie year Luke Schenn was a true delight, like a true delight.
Can I say just something quickly? I just hope the charts on that never come out. I don't want the charts to tell me what my view of that is.
I hear with the charts. Just let me have my memories, all right? That's a core memory for me is Luke Schenn year one. God, just thinking, boy, oh boy, this guy's the future. This is the future captain of the Leafs. This is the guy. Anyway, I thought, hey, let's do some positives because I, again, thought this was a good one. Liljegren looks awesome. For a guy, if we're going to talk about Sandin missed training camp, well, so did Liljegren, missed a bunch of time, and he looks fresh. He looks fine. That one-timer, that was a bomb. Like, Marner's going to get talked about in a second here. He sets him up, obviously, with a really pretty play, but just the shot, man, like, that's a real shot. That's a guy who can move the puck north-south. That's a guy who's been playing with, I think, a little bit more physicality start this season, right? That's probably something that they gave him when they healthy scratched him in the postseason last year. Hey, you want to stay on the ice, you're going to have to play with a little bit more, I don't know, pick your Brian Burke, like your Brian, pick whichever adjective you want to use from the Brian Burke book. But yeah, they probably told him that he had to do that. He looks really good through these first couple of games, man. He's bringing something.
Yeah, the thing I noticed with that shot is it is a dynamic that they don't necessarily have from the back end. Yeah. It's heavy. It's quick. Like both of them that he got off tonight. I mean, listen, Marner put that on an absolute pillow 100%, for him. 100%. And he put it in the sweet spot, no look. But he got it off his stick, hard, fast, top corner. And a lot of the defensemen on the Leafs, I feel like they like to dust it off a little bit. They like to double clutch. They like to Rielly's the king of that. Sandin even is a double clutch guy. Giordano will shoot it.
Giordano will get it through the net, but it's not a rocket. It's a heat-seeking, like, this is going to find a puck with eyes kind of shot.
That's what I like. Liljegren just seems like a very willing shooter, and he'll just fire it. So that's something that they've really desperately needed. I'm not saying that they're going to put him on the power play or anything, but just to have it at even strength is very nice. I was impressed with him through both of his games so far, and it's just having that right shot defenseman to add to second right shot defenseman. I'm Team Babs on this one. It just looks so much better. Having, like, the dream scenario is to have 3 right shot guys on the right and 3 left shot guys on the left. It just looks so much better when you have it. It's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's right. Babs is right about this. Yeah. It really looks better. So I agree. Liljegren's a big positive, but I think Marner playing the way he played tonight is my biggest positive.
Yeah, 100%. I'll just say last point on the defenseman thing. If you remember when Tyson Barrie first came here, one of the things that really popped was he was a guy that would rifle it from the point. And I still remember going, man, that's a different component to their team that they didn't have. And since Barrie, I don't feel like the Leafs have had a guy that does that the way Liljegren does. So I think that's just like a good pickup by you to notice, like, hey, having guys who can do different things and having that dude that will just rip it from the point. Because, like, yeah, point shots are down from an analytic standpoint, right? It's like one of those things we ended up learning, like, oh, actually, it turns out that this isn't a very good shot and that this is a high danger shot. Yeah, I know, because it's a fun, dude, we grew up and it was all about, hey, having a big D guy, like, from the point who could just absolutely rain down a bomb. But he's kind of that guy who you want that Marner shot going to him out of anybody on the team, or that Marner pass. But yeah, let's get into Marner. He kind of gets papered over a little bit because of I got the PTSD from the Canadian series when he put that puck over the glass. I went, are you kidding me, man? Like, we're doing this skit? Like, where was that going?
That was a weird play.
That was a big time. And then he's probably at a position on the goal in overtime. Something that I think a lot of guys get guilty of. I don't know how much criticism you're supposed to launch that way, but dude, the goal he scored, it's like, that's what his nicest goal as a Leaf. Like,
his nicest goal as a Leaf is actually against the Golden Knights, the one where he, like, came through the crease and, like, put it between his legs, like borderline a Finneganov.
Yeah, that wasn't. I don't know. I think this one. Well, I wish we got both of them actually though, because look at the traffic he's in, man. Like, that is literally the phone booth. That is as tight as it gets. That's every single Golden Knight player and somebody else on his team playing accidental
was
defense.
Like, hey, shoot it! I'm in your way.
Yeah. And he just, like, look at this man. I can't get enough of that. Like, that is just gorgeous. It almost looks like the Golden Knights players are like admiring him. They're like, there's no way that you're doing this, right? And he gets a chop. Like, no, that's pretty as hell, man.
So like, both plays that he made tonight, that goal there, and the play that he made to Liljegren were incredibly impressive. But to me, I guess he has it most nights. Like, he's got a good engine. But there's another level above Marner, like the really, really dynamic Marner, and that was who it was tonight. It's just, for me,
100%.
it's the puck pursuit. It's him in both zones. Like, he made a couple really good defensive reads tonight. He's getting in on the boards. Look at that pass. Oh my God, that pass.
Dude, he can disappear at times. Like,
for sure.
A guy that plays the most minutes in hockey, he has been not. Like, he has not been Mitch Marner for the last little bit. I actually thought, like, the tweet that I originally had to promo this, if they had won, was, man, this was a big Marner night and he needed one. Like, it has felt like they have not had the full-blown Mitch for a while. Tonight, he was the water bug that was everywhere. He was the guy that was in on the forecheck. He was the guy that looked, man, Marner's game is hilarious because, like, out of all the guys that you know, we do this thing with Pascal Siakam, right? The guy who plays with joy when you look like a kid. When Marner looks like he's a kid and he's flying around with the puck on his stick a ton, he looks like he's having fun and he's free. And he was that guy tonight.
For sure. And how's this for a theory? He got the pee-pee whack. He got taken away from his golden boy, got taken away from Pappy last game. And he's I'm
glad you brought it up.
He's like, I gotta have my best game ever. I gotta stick with Pappy. I can't leave him. I can't leave Tone. And he goes back out there and he has his best game by far. Hey, if that's the case, excellent job by Keefe to give him the little kick in the ass to coach him and get him to look like the best he has. I have to say, as a Kerfoot defender, I hate him on that line. I hate him there. He just does not belong there. How many times tonight was he just not thinking on the same level? And he'd beat, like, the puck would roll off his stick. He had a wide open net. He just heels it wide. You're going to get so many chances to those guys who, when the puck lands on your stick off a weird play that one of them makes, and they literally put the guy who's the worst on the team.
It reminds me of the first year of Hyman with that group where it was, remember when they started trying Hyman? Everyone thought it was going to be Marlowe, and it was just Hyman, and he must have had like a billion chances in front of the net and just couldn't do anything with them. If there is, like, I'm not even kidding, Alex Kerfoot goes on the Mount Rushmore of guys I least trust to tuck it. You know, like,
he's on the left. Far left. First base.
It's like
Chad Kilger up there.
Well, I was going to say that they used the stone from that wall, little known fact, to make his hands. like that's little known fact about Alex Kerfoot.
Now, that's not very nice.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, man. I will never trust him in tight. Like, what was it? The other night he gets that penalty shot, and bing! I knew exactly what the text message was for you. It was like, what are the Vegas odds? Like, if they could have opened this up and said, hey, you can gamble on this, like, Kerfoot to score, what would you have needed odds wise to bet yes?
He would have had better. I mean, Canada versus Belgium has better odds than Kerfoot to score. 8-1.
8-1. That's what that would have had to have been for you to just go, hey, maybe he gets a taste. Maybe he just finds a way.
Healing it into the glass or beating one into the pads. Those are the two options.
Dude, I look, so I've actually been sitting on this for a little while. I really think that as good as Nylander has been and as good as Tavares has been, I just wish that both those guys had their own line. And I really wouldn't mind if they decided to go third line with, you know, like a Kerfoot, Malgin, Nylander line and just gave that a bit of a look, or cycled in like who the other winger was for a little while and just decided.
Didn't they do that recently?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like but you're right. I don't like Kerfoot up on that top line. I think it's fine if you're trying to kill the game and you've decided, you know what, now he's getting more minutes. You're trying to protect the lead. Everybody trusts Kerfoot to do that. Everyone talks about splitting Marner and Matthews. I've just kind of given up on that idea. I just don't really think it's going to happen too often. Bourne is obsessed with the idea of just seeing Matthews with, like, speaking of Babs was right, Bourne is so horny for bringing back the Hyman, Connor Brown, Matthews type of line. Like,
the choppers and the kid.
The choppers and 34. Like, that's what he wants. The guys who beat it into a square and 34 and just go get him the puck. I don't mind it. I just don't think that they have like a Connor Brown and a Hyman to play with them, right? Like, they don't have those dudes anymore. I'm just curious about, it was always, hey, do you just flip Marner and Nylander? And I'm going, I don't know. I do wonder if they just gave that a little bit of rope, a little bit of room during a regular season, whether it would empower them or give them a little bit more flexibility to say, hey, like everybody's driving their own line. Tavares is driving his own thing. He looks great this year. Let him do it. Let him play with like a couple of guys. And they need to go out and get somebody else too. Like if you're talking about going out and getting help on the blue line, that's going to be an eventuality, I think. That's why you really hope that they can nail it in net and that Murray can come back healthy and Samsonov can come back healthy and that both of those guys can be fine because
you're not spending assets on those guys, right?
Dude, you just don't want to have to spend it on another goalie. You just hope that one of those dudes can emerge as something. You can be a stable back there because I think that they need another winger and they need another guy in the top four potentially, like and maybe not top four, but somebody who can play some heavy minutes on the penalty kill and take a little bit of the burden off of Rielly.
Well, this is one of Kipper's biggest things with this team is he talks about the left side, and it's
they need a better guy.
Point. Well, I mean, look what it is. It's Kerfoot, it's Bunting, it's Engvall or whatever they do on the left side there, and it's Aston Reese. It's not you. To me, I feel bad. I don't want to do all negatives, but Robertson. He had that unbelievable night where we had so much fun talking about it, how he looked the best that he's ever looked. And we're like, oh, he's taking a step. He looks ready. He looks like he's going to be an everyday guy. And he just never built off it, man. And tonight was another night where it just
invisible.
He made one really good defensive play where he came back and he kind of hooked the puck and brought it up the other way. And he had that offside play. And those were legitimately the two times I noticed him. He shot one into the pads from like the top of the circle. And that was it.
Yeah, I did notice the back check, and I think that, hey, credit to him that he has been doing that this season. Like, it has been noticeable that he's getting back. Like, you can tell that the effort level is there. But, yeah, it's been a little disappointing since that game, especially since that game was so awesome. And, yeah, I don't know. Like, listen, I shouldn't make this comparison because Matt Stajan had an awesome career, but if you remember Matt Stajan's first game against the Sens where they lost and he had those goals, and I think it was 2, right? He scored twice?
Do I remember? Yes.
Yeah, I know.
There. Another World Junior stud.
Yeah, I'm just saying that people were like, oh my God. It was like, that was the just welcome to the team moment. Obviously, Matthews is a different story, but I just remember that. And Robertson's game had a little bit of that vibe where people kind of ran away with it a bit. And yeah, he just feels like a guy to me where there's two things. One is they don't really have better left wing options than him, so you might as well keep trotting him out there and keep giving him a look. Like, I don't think that he should go back down to the AHL because what's the point?
No.
Like, I think you keep running him out there, but I will say that if it continues this way, it's hard to envision how he's a guy who's in your lineup come playoff time this year.
Yeah, and if that's the case, if you can make a trade with some kind, like, I hate to say it again, but Dragos is right. Should have traded him. Anyways,
first time.
Anyways, I love you, Drake. Anyways, you can't have your second line left winger in a close game with a great team being benched because it's not going. And I think Robertson has the potential to be a decent player in the NHL, but right now, to me, his development and this team's trajectory are just not lining up, bud. It's just not, they're not going in the same direction here. They need somebody.
Isn't it kind of perfect, though, in one regard, which is, like I said, there's nobody there that needs to take those minutes up top, and so you really do get to see it.
Bring someone in to play there. Like a real left winger for your second line. Listen, I think the defense probably needs some additions, like I talked about. They probably need to spend some of that money on the Muzzin money on somebody for the defense. But I do think they need to take some of that money and help on the left wing on your second line. I don't know who you're going to trade for. Listen, I'm not armchair GM here. I'm not going to get the cap-friendly machine out. But to me, that is a glaring hole where they're just searching for something. And if you're going to make a trade, that is somewhere where I'm really looking to upgrade.
Dude, Sandina's actually had some good games this year too, so I don't want to be overly reactionary, but if we're just going based on the past and knowing, hey, the Leafs like to have the penalty kill butcher, right? And they want to switch it up and make it a little bit more balanced and shuffle things up. You would imagine that Keefe likes having that pairing of Brodie and Hall. And Hall, I thought, was, again, solid tonight. Hey, guess what? The guy who gets put with Brodie is good. It's the miracle cure. Having Brodie is amazing. You just you slap it on. It's just, it works every single time.
Can they pay him more money?
Dude,
Like,
somebody.
It's the best signing ever. Pay
so
him more.
Good.
Anyways, continue.
It honestly, like, they signed him, so it's a weird one to think about. But had the original Kadri trade just gone through and they brought back Brodie and maybe something else, like, who knows? And they don't sign Kerfoot to the 3.5, and they don't let, like, Brodie would obviously re-sign. He doesn't walk the following year. Like, we do think about that trade a little different. All I'm saying is that it's weird because they did sign him the next year in free agency. So you go, well, wait, you would have traded Nazem Kadri for a guy. Like, it's a complicated one to talk about. It's a weird rabbit hole to go down, but just optically, it is a weird what if, but it is just kind of optically that is the guy. And Dubas identified him right away. And don't forget, everybody in Calgary was all poo-poo about TJ Brodie. They went, what did they say? Oh, you just re-signed, you just gave new Jake Gardiner money. Like, he could not, the TJ Brodie experience could not be further from the Jake Gardiner experience.
They must not get Toronto games in Calgary. Have they watched Jake Gardiner play?
I don't think they ever saw him. I think, you know what I think it was? I think Calgary was treated to, like, having some stud blue lines, and they had Giordano, who was in his prime, and he was just like the guy. And then poor TJ Brodie just got pushed to the side. And Brodie's also one of those guys where you talk to every single dude. I told you, I sent texts out to a bunch of his teammates when the Leafs first got him. He is a universal, across the board, beloved dressing room guy. Like, everybody loves him. Quiet guy, leads by example, and when he speaks up, voice carries a ton of weight. Like, you saw the speech Bieksa did. We're running long here. We got to go. But you see the speech that Bieksa did the other night about, like, having a certain amount of guys that you need on a team? Like, yeah, guess who's part of that group? TJ Brodie. Like, you never have to worry about it. But you got to figure that those blue line pairings right now, if they have it in an ideal world, are what they were tonight, or it's just Sandin getting swapped for Jordy Ben. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not going to carry 7D and have it be like a tenable. Something's got to shift eventually. And it does kind of feel like tying in the Robertson point is like, if they do make some kind of a trade of consequence, that some contract's going to have to go the other way, and maybe that's Muzzin, and they can move off of whatever his money is, or use his money, or trade his contract to somewhere. Maybe they still view Kerfoot as a guy that would go in a trade. It's hard to envision, though, given the amount of trust that they put in him and their history with own rentals. Yeah, exactly. And then you start to go down the lineup and go, well, Engvall's only $2 million. You know, Sandin, if you trade him, he's only $1 million. Robertson's less than that. It's kind of hard to figure how they make the money work unless it's just, you know, flat out the Muzzin contract leaves and someone really covets it and has somebody to offer. Anyway, they do have a couple of holes, but they are luxury ads.
For sure. And I, like, not to reference Kipper again, but he keeps saying on the show, they're spending that money, Muzzin money, and they're figuring it out. Of course later. They are. Like, that's just, you don't, this is not like last year where they hummed and hawed and they decided to not spend the money and then have him. How many games did he play down the stretch? 2.
Yeah, I know,
and that was a big miss by them last year. So I don't think they want to make that mistake twice. Did you have anything else? Did you want to talk Ryan Reynolds, or did you want to go?
Yeah, no, let's do quickly Ryan Reynolds. Did you get the clip of him tonight, sis?
Oh, at the game?
Yeah.
Look
at this guy. Okay, listen, I said this already on my podcast today. Oh, by the way, I need to plug my podcast. I have Matt Sundin on Thursday, so just no big deal. God. But yeah.
Really?
Like, yeah. No big deal. My close personal friend who I had on like a couple of years ago. But
anyways,
Matt's and I, Thursday, 10 o'clock. It'll be on the podcast wherever you get them at JD Bunkus, whatever. JD Bunkus podcast. I was joking about on the pod today, though, how no one is milking this in a better way. Like, this guy is going on fouling, like, I want to buy the Sens, and then openly admitting that he doesn't have the money for it. Like,
I need a sugar daddy.
Dude, basically, he's trying to say to rich guys, like, I'll be your friend. Like, he's just telling some rich guy somewhere, you can be friends with Deadpool if you buy me the Senators, or give me some, I'll pay some money in. How much money do you think this guy's, look at him, he's getting a standing ovation at the Senators game. He hasn't done anything yet. It's incredible, man. Look at these Sens fans. By the way, Ottawa, most embarrassing. I want to buy the Sens, okay? So I don't want to crap on the fan base too bad, because if I win the Powerball or I fall into money, I said right away, the first thing I would do is buy the Sens. Like, no better way to spend $1 billion. You move the team down to LeBreton Flats. You're an owner. You're in the news. You're a Canadian team. I get out of my Leafs fandom, the torture of this for, it's great. All around, it's great. I pull a Kawhi where I don't really live in Ottawa, but I get the helicopter. I'm back and forth from different places. But man, this is just it's a brilliant move. It's unbelievable, but I cannot believe that it's working to this tune.
Can I say that he was dressed in the classic I'm a movie star going out trying to not look like a movie star look, like with the glasses and like the hat, and he's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm Mr. Casual." Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
I guess. I guess so. Anyway, I'd love to own the Sens. I can totally understand why this guy would want to be in on it.
You see that the Sens are retiring Chris Neal's number?
So embarrassing, honestly.
Hey, good Fledgerton, Ontario boy, had a good career, but boy, oh boy.
Speaking of Mount Rushmores, out of the guys I've hated the most, Chris Neal chasing around Ty Domi at the end of his career is still makes my heart hurt. That was not a fine moment for anybody who cared about the Leafs. Remember when it was like, Domi's a goal scorer now. He's just in 12. He's not about fighting anymore. He's gonna get 12. He's got sneaky good hands. Yeah, that was dark. Those were dark times. No, dude, Chris Neal, I hated his guts to the point where the first time I remember running into him, I remember having an actual hey man, don't actually be a jerk to this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't beat the crap out of you.
No, it wasn't like that. It was in a post game setting where I saw him in a tunnel. We were just standing beside each other, and I was doing some media stuff, and he was anyway. It was just, but it was one of those things where I saw him and I was like, yuck. It was same thing. That reminds me of is when I met Cyrus from Trailer Park Boys. I was like, my brain had to be like, dude, that's not really Cyrus. He's not. That guy's not Cyrus. You can't just chirp him.
So the Ryan Reynolds thing is so he's just going to be the front-facing guy. They're going to put in $1 billion.
He says he's going to be anything. He's got a big movie coming out. This is just free PR. This guy's just smart. He's the smartest dude ever.
He's a poor boy. He's broke. He's ruined.
Bro, he's the smartest guy ever. He's the smartest guy ever. He knows how to market himself better than anyone. Man, this guy has done the same character in every movie since Van Wilder, and every time he's got a new movie out, we're all just like, yum, yum, yum.
Did you watch that Wrexham thing?
No.
Oh, buddy, don't watch it.
Why?
It's I like what's the other guy? McElhaney from Rob McElhaney, right? From It's Always Sunny. But that doc, it's just look how good we are. Oh, another episode of how much everyone loves us. It's the most self-serving thing ever. Anyways,
that's what I'm saying. This feels like it's kind of getting anyway. If you're paying attention, it's a little bit of a jump the shark. But Ottawa is down because he said on a late night show, Vanier, and they lost their minds because anywhere in Canada that gets mentioned in the States, people are just like, oh my God.
They need a distraction right now because they stink on the ice. So Ryan Reynolds is their best player right now.
Man, they lost Norris for the year.
Who could have seen it coming? Everyone.
I liked the Sens stuff before the season started because they were becoming more relevant. But this idea that got floated around of they've got a better core than the Leafs or that they're contenders soon, it's just, what the hell?
No.
The summer of Pierre is going to become the
winter of discontent.
The summer of Pierre is over. It's done. Pierre's going to be on a panel somewhere soon. It's done. So,
did you hear him refer to himself in the third person for a press conference this morning?
No,
he got asked about DJ Smith, and he's like, Pierre Dorian is a very, very, very. Pierre Dorian is loyal. Pierre Dorian is very loyal. I was like, what? Jimmy, is that Jimmy?
You're losing your mind. Hey, remember when he did the "We like our team, we're a team," or we said we're a team, and he was the flustered guy, and then the tiger doesn't change his stripes. You're the flustered guy. Anyway, let's wrap this up. We've done this for 40 minutes. This is the longest Leafs talk ever.
Really?
So,
I'm having a blast. We should probably go though.
No, this is I'm having fun too, but it's 40 minutes. The first one might have been longer. The one where I didn't even have the right microphone on, and they still posted it anyways.
Come a long way.
It's rah, 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 rah. And people, hey, by the way, if you left a jerk review, a 1-star banger or whatever based on the audio, and you still listen to this, go back and fix it. All right. Go and do the fellas a favor. Go do a service. And if you haven't left a 5-star review on the podcast page, go do it and leave a little comment. Ferda. That would be nice.
This has been 5 straight perfect audio, great production. Like, come on, get it together, guys. No more 1 star.
You're off on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a wedding. I was supposed to be off, but I'm covering for you. You're welcome.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's Born and I.
And then Saturday, I believe it's me and Justin Cuthbert.
Correct.
Yeah.
JC getting to strap him in.
Yeah.
Listen, we can't let JC do it too often because that's how you get replaced. So
that's the hipsters coming in here.
No, so it's like, yeah. Anyway, he'll be doing very limited amount of shows. But yeah, all right. Leafs talk. This was fun. This was a good one. Leafs lose. Rielly Smith, just classic. Just the guy who's from here. Like, just shocker. What do you know?
A bit of inside information that he was out with a couple fellas from my beer league team last night. So
yeah,
he was playing guilty. Let's just say that.
Guess what? Those guys are simps. They should have pounded more beers with him. They should have made him stay out a little bit more. They're like, no problem, Riles, go to bed. Like, what are you doing? Take one for the
shot
team.
Fireworks at his hotel room.
Yeah, somebody do something. Like, put some weird thought in his head before he goes to bed. Like, something. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, subscribe, review, do all those things. And we will see you, Born and I, Friday night.